Oh, well, I know most of you, not all of you. My name is Mary Ellen Bartholomew, but I go by M.E., which is more fun because people look at me and go, my name tag, me. No, me. M.E. I've been coming here to talk to Unity since 2018, off and on. And when we were on Zoom, I did that too. That was fun. I have no idea what the Bible says. Obviously, that's not why I'm here. The very first talk I did was about using love as a tool, because I'm an energy medicine practitioner, and for me, that's what it felt like I was doing. I was using the energy of the universe to help others, which is why I get up here and do this, because I feel like there is something I need to share. So today, let's start by doing just a little meditation to make sure that we're actually here and present. So what I'm going to have you do is make sure you got your bottom in your seat, you got your feet flat on the floor, and you can just relax your hands however you want them to be. And then close your eyes, and we're going to take a nice deep breath in. And then we're going to send, like a root down from the center of our being, down through the ground and into the earth, and find ourselves a crystal down there to wrap that root around. And that crystal begins to vibrate, and it sends energy up from the earth, circles around our feet, our knees, our hips, our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and it circles around the solar plexus chakra. Oh, and there it is going around our heart. Oh my gosh, our heart chakra is just enveloped in that earth energy. Then it comes up to our throat chakra and our third eye and the crown. And then it shoots out up into the universe. And then it pulls the energy of the universe back down into your heart chakra. And you can place your hands on your heart and just feel that energy, the sweetness of that energy of the universe and the earth. And then you can just take a couple of nice deep breaths. And on the out breath, what I want you to do is blow all that air out against resistance. So it sounds something like this. Take another deep breath in and blow it out. One more time. And blow that out. And just come back to yourself, open your eyes. One of the reasons I have you blow out against resistance is it calms the vagus nerve. And if you blow out twice as long as you breathed in, it also helps to calm the vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is what gets all tight and, makes your jaw clench, you know. and anytime that you have a negative emotion, the vagus nerve starts to tighten up and starts to control everything. So if you want to breathe in deep and then blow it out against resistance, it will start to calm you. How many of you went to see the Dalai Lama movie? Well, a few of us did. Glenn did, I know.
Did you mention where the vagus nerve is?
The vagus nerve is all over your body. It goes to every single organ in your body. It comes up the back, and you have all the nerves in the back, and then it goes around to all of your body parts where you hold tension. Okay, so that's one way to calm yourself. I went to the Dalai Lama movie, and he talked a lot about getting rid of that negative feelings, the fear, the anger, everything that you feel when things are going wrong in the world and you don't know what to do and you can't handle it and you don't know what, how are you supposed to do anything about it? The first thing you have to do is calm yourself. And this is one of the ways that you can calm yourself, is by breathing and calming that vagus nerve. So we'll do it again at the end, so you get a reminder of how to do that. So when I started thinking about what I wanted my talk to be about, I was thinking of changing how you view the world by where you put your focus. And so the name of my talk was, You Have a Voice. You have a choice, rather, excuse me, same thing to my mind. You have a choice. You don't get a choice over what happens in your life. You know, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly out here, you know. And pretty soon, if you put your focus on the ugly, it takes over. And you can't see the good anymore. So by learning to put your focus somewhere else, you can diminish that ugly in your life. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't have control of you. So this reminds me of my own life. In the last 3 years, my husband died 3 years ago in the first week of February. And you know, I was his caretaker for 6 years. I knew he was going to die. I was prepared, right? No, because what I did not know I needed to prepare for was being alone. I didn't know how to be alone. You know, I'd always had my family, my kids, my husband, friends. I didn't know how to live alone. So that was the ugly in my life. The fact that he was gone, but also that I was alone and I didn't know how to do that. And it seemed like it just grew and grew and grew. And, you know, I didn't have anybody to share the little things with or complain about. Nobody whine to. You know, you need to have somebody to whine to, right? And if I stubbed my toe, there was no one to say, who left that there? Because obviously, living alone, I left that there. But it just felt wrong. It felt wrong. I wanted somebody to be with. Well, nobody was showing up. And I really wasn't looking for another partner or anything. I just didn't want to be alone. So my son said to me finally, Mom, if there was one thing you used to do in your former life that you'd like to be able to, anything in your whole life that you would like to be able to do now, what would it be? And it just popped in my head. You're not going to believe this. Trail running. Trail running. When I was younger, up until like in my 40s, I loved to run trails. Well, even into my 40s was still 30 years ago. That's a long time ago, and I don't run anymore. In fact, I fell and my balance got all off, and so I wasn't doing anything like that. So he said to me, well, Mom, if that's really what you would like to do, how about if we go get you a coach, a personal coach, and with the intent that you're going to get into shape so that you can run trails. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. He'd been trying to get me to go to a personal trainer forever. He just didn't say the right words, which is trail running. So I started going to see a trainer at the Y, and I've been doing it for 2 months now, and I'm so excited because I was in Tahoe with the kids, winter wonderland, you know, lots of snow, and we went out with the sled just on the streets, because the streets were, and we were pulling him or pushing him on the sled, and pretty soon I was running alongside the sled. And the first time I had run anywhere in years, I couldn't even picture myself picking my feet up far enough to run, you know. I don't want to get too far off the ground because who knows what could happen. So when I did that, when I put the focus somewhere else, it didn't seem so bad to be alone anymore. It just diminished that huge thing I had made out of being alone. So that's one way we can change our life, is by changing the focus. Where are we putting the focus in our lives? And for me, it was on being alone. There's also another way to change your life that I used years ago. And I just didn't realize I was doing it. And so I'm looking back over my life and thinking, when else have I done this? Well, it all started with a spoon. I had a wooden spoon that had a handle like this, little tiny spoon on the top and this huge handle. It must have been for like canning or something, you know, I don't know what it was for. And so one day we're all in the kitchen. This is my first husband and my kids. We're in the kitchen and we're cleaning up after dinner, and I started complaining about this spoon. All right, I was bitching about the spoon. And who needed a spoon with that big a handle? You can't put it in the dishwasher. It's just a pain in the butt. And my husband looked at me like I was crazy. Like I was an alien, and a stupid one at that. And he took the spoon from me and he held it up and he goes, bam! And he hands me the spoon. He broke the handle off. I mean, it was like this. It was such a shock. I'm standing there with the spoon and, you know, it needs sanding and stuff, but it's definitely a better size. Well, I came to realize that this was an essentially different way that my husband at the time, looked at the world, which was, if he bought something, no matter how much money he spent on it, if it didn't do exactly what he wanted, he would take it apart and make it do what he wanted. And I was always uptight about that, because I was raised in a family with poverty level practically. And so a quarter made a difference. If you spent $50 on a watch and brought it home and then took it apart so that you could fix it, to me, that's like, oh, no, 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 you're going to break it. You spent all that money on it, and you're just going to ruin it. And what do you think you're doing, you know? And he would just go ahead and do whatever he was going to do. And I'm like, maybe he didn't want the second hand on the watch. Who needs a second hand anyway? You took it apart, take the second hand out, put it back together, and there it is. It works perfectly, does exactly what he wants it to do. So it wasn't until he did that with the spoon that I was able to apply it to myself, because I didn't see the world that way. Well, when he did that with the spoon, I started looking at my life and going, huh, I hated my job. I hated it. I was a bookkeeper, which is a very detailed job, and you have to file everything, so you have where the backup is and all that crap, you know. Well, it was the best paying job I ever had. I was keeping the books for 3 organizations: the Chamber of Commerce, the Apple Blossom Festival, this was in Wenatchee, and the Travelers, the Traveler Bureau, right. And best paying job I'd ever had. I did a good job. It wasn't that I didn't do a good job. They liked me. I hated it. I wanted out so bad. Have you ever had a friend or somebody who does nothing but complain about their job or about something in their life, and they don't do anything to change it, they just complain? I've known people like this. But I didn't want to be that person. So I looked at that job and I thought, you know I could do something else and be more happy. You know, I'm not happy with this at all. And so I thought about it and I thought, what would make me happy? Well, I love helping people use their computers, or at least I did at that time. That was before I stopped being able to hold anything in my brain for any length of time. But at that time, this was in the early 90s. It was when there were starting to be computers on everybody's desk, and nobody knew how to use them. So I started going to people's houses and helping them send email to their grandkids or set up their printer. Pretty soon I was going to offices, and we would put all of the computers on the conference room table, and I'd teach them how to use the Microsoft Office products that came with their new computers. And that's how Microsoft came to have such a huge piece of the market, is that they gave away Microsoft Office in the beginning. It was on every new computer, so you had to learn how to use it. It was a great time to start a business like that. The first year I made double what I made as a bookkeeper. I loved it. I loved what I was doing, and I loved being able to help people. So whenever I would hear then after that somebody saying, oh God, I hate my job. Well, do something about it. You don't have to stay there just because it's paying the bills. You just have to find something that you like to do that pays the bills. So I learned a lot from that about taking your focus off of what you hate. That ugly, that big ugly that's out there. Take the focus off of that and put it where you would like it to be. And then see what happens. I couldn't have guaranteed that I would pay all the bills. There was no way to do that. But I had such a good time. You know, when you're having a good time, things happen. The universe likes it when you're having a good time. So there's one other story I'd like to share with you, and this is more recent. And it wasn't me, so this isn't my story, but I asked for permission to tell this story because I was so impressed. Well, this friend of mine, I'll call her F for friend. She was getting ready for a big party that was going to honor a couple of women friends. And she had one other friend that was doing it with her. And this woman that was helping her had a very rigid view of life, as in not spiritual at all, because after all, you know, she had a science background and there's not a word of truth in that spirit stuff. So they're getting ready for this party, and F is peeling avocados. But it's still a couple hours. And I thought, avocados, they're going to spoil. They're going to turn brown. Why are you doing that already? This is just when she's telling me the story. So she said she got them all peeled, and they were all on a plate, really nice. And she blessed them. So here's what she did. She said, avocados, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here for us and sharing your fruit with us. And we love you so much. We bless you. We thank you. But it's going to be a few hours before we can enjoy this. So please don't turn brown. I would never have thought of that. Would you have thought of that? It just never occurred to me to ask the avocados not to turn brown. And I said, and did they turn brown? She said, no. She said the next day they still went brown, but they didn't look very good. You know, they were kind of mushy. Ooh. So her friend, the one who doesn't really believe in this stuff, she notices that the avocados haven't turned brown, and she said, what did you do? And she said, oh, I zapped him. Because she didn't want to say that she blessed him, you know. So they're also getting flowers as a gift for the honorees. And then they had a vase of flowers on the table. So when the flowers came, F blessed the flowers because she wanted them to stay fresh and nice. So she said, thank you, flowers, for being here and smelling so wonderful, and we love you. And but please stay fresh for our friends when they arrive. Stay smelling and looking as beautiful as you are now. And once again, I'm going, I never thought of blessing flowers and asking them to do something. That just didn't occur to me. And so her friend noticed that the flowers were, the two that were for the honorees, were doing better than the other one. And she said, well, what did you do? And she said, oh, I zapped him. So it's time for the people to show up, and everything goes well. And they leave everything to clean up in the morning. They get up in the morning, and the other vase with the flowers are dead. They are black and bent over and crackly leaves. And they were roses, you know, and roses, they don't bend, you know, they're straight. Well, they were bent over and deader than a doornail. And F looked at them and she said to her friend, what happened to these flowers? And she said, oh, well, I zapped them. And she said, well, show me how you zapped them. And she went, she zapped them all right. She killed the poor things. But what this was like an eye-opener for me. Because I hadn't thought, yes, using love as a tool, but blessing things as a tool. Isn't that a wonderful idea? So that, you know, when you're wanting things to go a certain way, bless the heck out of them. But whatever you do, don't zap them. No zapping allowed. When I was doing my energy work training, there was a woman in our class who had done a different kind of training. And if I could think of the word, you would know. I can't think of it. And she used to say, when we would rub your hands together and shake them off, get the energy flowing, she said, oh, or we would pull used energy off of somebody and shake it off. And she would say, you guys don't shake it off at anyone. Shake it off into the earth so it can be cleansed and come back as beautiful energy. But I've never heard of anybody actually zapping somebody. Something. So, my understanding of blessing, my understanding of focusing, my understanding of changing what's not going well in your life, it's all sort of coalesced into one thing. You know, you put your focus where you want it to be, but you also bless it at the same time. And you ask for help at the same time. So you're asking for help from whatever source at the moment, and you're blessing it, and you're putting your focus where you want your life to go. Because it's so easy to start complaining and holding that fear, that frustration of the world and letting it in when we don't have to let it in. What we need to do is just be conscious that it's there and say, you know, that's not where I need to put my focus today. So I went to the Dalai Lama movie, and I was really surprised because I've seen other Dalai Lama things, and he's so full of happiness and joy. I just expected it to be that way. Well, he's getting old, and I don't think he had a whole lot of control over the rest of the video. There was a lot of pictures of bombed out buildings, of the Chinese taking over Tibet, of all these things that I didn't need in my head. I was shocked, and I was really disappointed in the movie because, yes, I agree with the Dalai Lama that we need to get rid of that whatever anger or fear or frustration or whatever is entering our lives, and replace it with the joy and the loving kindness and compassion. Because compassion is actually loving kindness in action. So my whole purpose in life is to spread loving kindness. And if I've got that picture in my brain of disaster, and it's really hard to get rid of those pictures. I don't want those pictures. The same thing happened to me. I went to a movie or a performance that I thought was going to be all joy and Christmas music and everything. And the last song they did had a moving video of burned out buildings. And I was like, oh, no, this is not why I came here. So what we have to do is really think about where we want our focus to go. Do we want it to be on the fear and the frustration? No. We want it to be on the joy, on the compassion, on the kindness. So I want to share a song with you that I love, and of course I can never remember the lyrics, so you have to put up with this thing in front of me so I can see the lyrics. I'm going to do it a cappella because I don't have a backing track for it, It's by a woman named Susan Werner. Susan Werner does amazing, she writes amazing music. And this particular one is called May I Suggest? And I think you will really enjoy it. So, see if I can get the lyrics up. There they go. Okay. Oops, too little. May I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest, may this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the thousand reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. A secret world, a treasure chest to you, of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A lover's trusting smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. Oh, I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, oh, I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a hope that's been expressed in you, the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. This is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. Inside you know, inside you understand. Where did it go? I lost my place. Inside you know, inside you understand. Inside you know what's yours to finally set right. And I suggest to you, and I suggest this is the best part of your life. This is a song, comes from the West to you, comes from the West, comes from the slowly setting sun, with a request of you, to see how very short the endless days will run. And when they're gone, and when the dark descends, oh, we'd give anything for one more hour of light. And I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. Oh. So I said we would do the breathing one more time before we go. So we're going to add something to it. Another way to help your vagus nerve relax is by holding your face. And you put a thumb behind each earlobe, and then you just lay your hands on your face. so that your fingers are on your temples. And I know your glasses get in the way. So then you take a nice breath, like to the count of 4. So breathe in and hold that for another 4 or so. And then blow it out against resistance. So it's and I generally try to count to 8 on that because your vagus nerve, for some reason, responds better to a breath that's twice as long on the out breath than on the in breath. Now, I don't know why that is, but it works. So here we go. One more time. Breathe in. Hold that. And then breathe out against resistance. One more time. Breathe in. And hold it. And then breathe out. All right. So next time you're having trouble calming yourself, everything seems overwhelming, try that breath. It really does work. It also helps you go to sleep at night. So